Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Convos with Sazón with yours truly, Cata Mejía. With me today is Luis Fernandez, multidisciplinary artist and chef. Bienvenido, how are you?
I'm doing good, how are you?
I'm wonderful, super excited to have you and to dive into all of the things that we'll be talking about. Before we get into what it is that you have decided to pursue career-wise, I want to get people to know you as a person first. Okay. So let's talk about your early beginnings. As you think of your childhood, what comes to mind?
Big family, for sure. I think that's the first thing that will come to mind. I grew up with 4 other siblings, Junior, Janine, Joanna, Dowdies. Growing up, I lived in, I was born in Miami.
Okay.
Then I lived in DR. Then I moved to Massachusetts, and I was raised there. And that's where I remember living in this tiny, attic in my tia's house. And then we moved, and just, having all the siblings there, having that, it felt like the Jackson 5, for real. Either we sing or we dance or we do poetry or write music. My dad, loves to sing. My mom loves to sing. My mom put me to sleep singing. That's probably why I'm a musician now. Moving around a lot. When I lived in Holyoke before I moved to Amherst, my parents split up when I was in maybe 4th grade, 5th grade. My dad moved to Amherst and my mom stayed in Holyoke. And then I moved to Amherst, and that's when my life really changed. I met a bunch of my friends, but a lot of food, a lot of love, a lot of Dominican household stuff, as we know. Se fue la luz, get the candles, good. Like that. So I grew up with a big support system to a certain extent as a Dominican man.
Yeah, I love that. I love to hear that. You started mentioning, singing and food. How would you say your creativity started to take shape at such an early age? Were you put in formal classes for all of this, or did you learn based on the influences that you had from those around you?
Definitely the influences that I've had around me.
Okay.
Just Joanna doing poetry or rapping, and Janine singing, and Junior doing poetry, and never had any of those summer camps. That would have been kind of dope, but I didn't get the summer camps and stuff like that. But I've just been exposed to being Dominican and singing and pulling out the guira and the tambora. We don't got the tambora, we got the pots and pans. So I was always around creativity growing up, but no formal training for sure.
Okay. As you think of, everyone when they're younger, they're like, I want to be XYZ. What did that look like for you? What was that first dream as you thought about your future at a young age?
I wanted to be king of the world first.
I love that.
And then I wanted to be a fireman, because when I lived in DR, there was a fire department outside. And I was like, I want to do that. But really, I wanted to be like my dad. But really king of the world. I was seeking world domination at a very early age. And I think that's why I touched into so many different things.
Yeah.
But I don't know, my dad at a very early age taught me to, what's the worst thing that can happen? No? And I think that kind of fueled that, for real.
We'll get into that mindset as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I do think that we are sometimes the biggest obstacles in our own way, right? And when you think about something like that, okay, let me think about the worst case scenario. Is it really the worst case, Right. And so talking yourself down from that ledge or stopping yourself before you even start is sometimes what gets in the way. You said you moved around a lot, and you mentioned, Miami, you mentioned DR, you mentioned Massachusetts, and now you're in New York. Where would you say you feel most yourself? Is it a physical location, or is it a combination of where you are, of course, and also what you're doing?
Where do I feel home the most? And before New York, I lived in LA. So I also moved from LA to New York in 2020. What I feel most at home, I don't know. I think I feel most at home when I'm at peace. It doesn't really matter a location for me. I could feel at home in Oklahoma or DC. If I'm in a good headspace, that's home for me. And it changes. It's temporary. You know what I mean? Home right now is the Bronx. I go into my room, and that's home. And last summer, I went to Massachusetts, and I had to redefine what home felt like, because I have so many other pressures there, seeing people, spending specific times with people. But last year was the first time since 2016 that Massachusetts felt like home. But recently, home has been where my mental state is. So I could be in the subway and it feels like home. I could be at work. I could be working on a pop-up and it feels like home. Wherever I feel grounded, I think that's home.
Yeah. Speaking of redefining, I know that you've shared how the nickname your dad has for you is feo, which in Spanish is a direct translation to ugly. And some can take offense to it. However, in our culture, there is this, I won't say standard, but there is this habit of saying things with love, even if what you're saying isn't immediately the nicest thing.
Yeah.
So talk about that, like truly embracing that nickname and making the most out of it instead of focusing on maybe the negative things that come to mind when someone initially hears that word.
Yeah, I've had to break it down. I even have it tatted ugly here. It's something that hit me the older I got, like fail. But that's the thing. I've never, ever, and that sounds crazy, I never felt self-conscious about my appearance. My mom did a really good job of that. Mi niño más lindo, mi niño más lindo. There's like 4 other siblings. So like, she did a really good job at helping my self-esteem like that. My dad would call me Phil, just, I have his name, like, you know what I mean? I know it's a term of endearment. So the way that I've been shaping it and shifting it, it's like what makes you ugly is what makes you unique. You know what I mean? It makes you who you are. Like something like, oh, I don't like this gap between my teeth, or oh, I don't like that one arm is longer than the other. But that's what makes you who you are. You know, if you really start to love yourself and pouring into yourself, whatever makes you ugly is what makes you unique. That's why I got it tatted. I got my other homie did it, Olivia Schuben. She did the tattoo. So just it's about perspective at the end of the day. And la cultura, you know, like we have those names, gordita, flaca, and I've grown to, it's been a mentality shift. It's like those gray areas of understanding or not understanding things is where, I don't know, I think where a lot of my creativity comes from.
Yeah, I love that. Let's think back to what you were mentioning earlier. You wanted to be a firefighter, you know, you wanted world dominance or to be a creative like your dad.
Yeah.
From the moment you were, you know, younger in your childhood to as you were shaping up to be the adult that you are today, you know, as you thought about going through school or not, what did you end up leaning towards pursuing? I know you've mentioned in the past how school wasn't for you. You tried it, but, you know, it's not something that you necessarily stuck with. So talk about that.
Well, when I did try to go to school, I was like early childhood education. I love working with kids. Kids gravitate towards me, I gravitate towards them. I think it helps my creativity too, seeing how they could just walk away from something, like draw all day and then walk away from something. That's important in life. School just wasn't for me. Every single time I got another opportunity to do something that I love to do, through and through. So when my music started taking off, I kept getting asked, do you want to go on tour? I was like, yeah, I'm dropping out. Like, I'm always going to drop out. I'm always going to follow what I love to do. For sure.
You mentioned early childhood education. Is that something you pursued initially when you were starting to go to school?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I knew I wanted to work with kids.
Yeah.
I've always loved working with kids. I've always loved community. And I've always felt like a kid myself, so it felt like the most relatable way. And that comes from having really bad education. When I was in Holyoke, I had teachers call me dumb, that wasn't going to amount to nothing. And I really coming from a place of just like ego, I'm like, I could do this job better than them. Like, I really could. And since, like, when I was a little kid, middle school, high school, I was like, I want to do that. I want to go to school for early childhood education. But it just didn't stick.
Yeah. Okay. You mentioned music. So timeline-wise, you know, you started school for early childhood education. Were you then pursued to go on tour? Was that the first time you kind of walked away and pursued that?
No, I started making music during high school.
Okay.
So then I did, like, a couple shows at colleges, and that's when I was like, all right, you know what? It's time for me to go to school. I'm gonna go to school. But once you are in that space where you're like sitting down and people are grading you and judging you on your efforts and stuff. I've taken an art class before. I paint. I've taken art class before. I'm like, how is this a C? How is this a D? Like, this is my art. So just being confined to those type of spaces didn't work for me. So like art and music and doing what I want to do all the time has always like shaped me.
Yeah. And in a way that is almost like your variation of world domination, right?
Yeah,
because it's doing things on your own terms based on what feels right in the moment.
Right.
Let's talk about your music. What type of music and what has influenced the lyrics, for example?
I rap and I sing, and I treat it like everything else. Like whatever I'm expressing, whatever I'm feeling at the moment, whatever my environment is at the moment. So I rap about love and heartbreak, but also just being bossed up and doing cool shit that I always do.
Yeah.
So I try to stay away from lying. Like I don't do that. So I'm not running around talking about being in these streets. I'm not like, and if I am now in this type of day, like talking about being in the kitchen with another rapper will be talking about selling drugs. I'm in the kitchen really cooking. Like I'm really in the kitchen. Like, so things like that. So it influences like my environment and the people that I'm around. Cause I started doing shows in college, and then my manager at the time added me to some competition, and then like my third show was at the Apollo, and I was like, damn, I think I'm pretty good at this. I think I'm gonna have to keep doing it. So yeah, it was cool.
2 questions about what you just said. The first is, some people can find it hard to be vulnerable, and they use spaces like the stage or lyrics to express themselves. Do you find that you're comfortable being vulnerable regardless of the setting, or do you also need to be in the mindset to be able to peel back the layers and speak from the heart?
I find it very easily. My dad is a very emotional man. I grew up in a very emotional house. So I think that like suppressing emotion thing that a lot of Latino men have, I didn't have that.
Good.
Like I didn't really have that. I express sometimes too much. You know, sometimes I need to learn how to gauge and read the room a little bit better and deliver things a little bit more on a kind level, right? There's a difference between being blunt and being a jerk. And so I've never had that. Like I've actually been very fortunate. I think about it because me and my friends, we call each other DOC because we all want to be doctors when we were little too. I forgot about that. Only one of us is a doctor now. But I've been surrounded by a very, very amazing support group of men that talk about their feelings. Yo, man, I'm feeling depressed, man. Someone call me, like, I'm feeling this way, I'm feeling this way. Yo, I'm going through a breakup. Yo, this and that. So I've always been around a lot of men of color. There's, I think, 12 of us. And 10 of us are men of color from Africa, Kenya, South Africa, Cabo Verde, Puerto Rico, DR, and then my 2 white boys, Sean and Brett. They grew up with the gang too, though. So I've been very fortunate to be able to express myself at all times. Sometimes it's like, when I'm making music and art, sometimes it looks different when I'm in a positive headspace or a negative headspace. And I had to learn how to have a different relationship with that.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing I wanted to follow up on was, 3rd show in, you're at the Apollo. Would you say that external validation in any degree has had an impact on how you perceive the quality of your work? And what I mean by that is, the Apollo Theater is a huge name. It's recognizable pretty widely. Do you think that's something that pushed you towards believing even more in yourself, or it simply added to the great expectation that you were holding yourself to from the beginning?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
I was 18, so external validation is all I need. You know what I mean? This is before really Instagram was Instagram, right? I'm posting on Facebook at this point, and Instagram a little bit. But the external validation was extremely important. People driving from Massachusetts to see a 15-minute set by me. I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. My dad pulling up, buying me clothes. I'm like, whoa, this feels amazing. But also I was like, I'll do this. Like, this is what I do. I've always had this mentality. Like, this is what I do. I always show up. People are never surprised when I do things, my friends at least. But there was one situation where I really doubted myself at that show, because you're like, oh, no swearing. At 18, I was swearing. The lyrics I was using were vulgar. Like, these were like when we were talking about the lyrics and stuff, the stuff I was rapping about there, I was talking about some like flex shit, but my lyrics were vulgar and was not for that crowd. And they're like, I did sound check. They're like, oh, nah, you're gonna have to change this. I went back, and this is something that sticks with me forever. Like, this is something that I'm going to tell my kids. I'm freaking out because the songs I've been practicing is 12 songs, and I had, I think, 6 or 7 songs, 6 songs, say 6. And 4 of them were just like, they're like, nah, there's no way. I was like, damn, like, I need to change my set. I know these songs, but I have no background vocals, so there's no support here. I was shook. I went to the back. I'm like, my head is down. I'm freaking out. I'm like, yo, Chris, what are we gonna do? He's like, bro, we have to change the set. Let's change the set. I was like, all right, cool. I know I could do that. But there was this older gentleman. I wish I remember his name. But this man changed my life. Like, I was sitting there, my head is down. He could tell the stress was spewing through my body. And he's like, what's going on? I was like, I'm stressed. They changed my set, et cetera, et cetera. He goes, listen, you were just in a room where I've seen Michael Jackson here, Aretha Franklin here. You're in the room. You're at the Apollo. He's like, listen, I'm going to give you some advice. You already got the hard part out of the way. You're good at what you do. That, I get goosebumps even thinking about that. Because I remember that day and I was like, you're right. I am good at what I do. I am here. Like, I was chosen. I won a competition. I had to go through rounds and beat people. Like, I'm destined for this. And when he told me you're already good at what you do, you got the hard part out of the way, I applied that to everything in my life. So that validation was huge for me. But I also went in there being like, yeah, I got my coat, I got my homies. I'm dope. But then reality sunk in. And then that external validation really pushed me and is applicable to everything I do today, for sure.
So you went on tour. At what point did these other things that you now dedicate yourself to come into play? So I know that you design clothes. I know that you make art, you paint. You're also a chef. So walk us through the chronological order of how these things come into play.
Okay, from 2012 to 2000, and let's say 2000, I'm gonna say 2019, because in 2019, I dropped probably like my last album on the streak I was on. So, and Disney Publishing was like putting it out with my boy Nick Pingree. He produced it and stuff, so that was really cool.
Wow.
But then I met Isabel. So I met Isabel in LA, and we did the whole thing. We fell in love. We did the whole shebang.
So for context purposes, Isabel, former partner of yours.
Former partner and former business partner.
And we'll get to that.
And we'll get to that. And then the pandemic hit, right? Everybody had these stimulus checks. Everybody had this money. My mentality is like, how do I make the most of this? So during the pandemic hit, I was working on an album. I was like, I want to do a painting. This is before shutdown, right? I was like, I want to make a drawing for each one of my songs. I always doodled, but never like painted. I want to make a song for da-da-da. How do I get people to come to my album release party and my art show? I was like, oh, my birthday. I'm going to drop my album on my birthday. People will be forced to come. So that's marketing. And then, and that's strategy. And that's business development. And so then the world shut down, right, in March. My birthday's in April. I'm like, there's no way I could do this. Me and Isabel started this foodie page. I forgot the name of it. But we started this foodie page, started getting sponsors, taking content. I'm like, Isabel, this is how we do it. I shoot content all the time. Like, this is how we do it. Isabel got obsessed with it. I became obsessed with it. And then during the pandemic, I started painting. I had the name Ugly Fernandez for years, since 2013. I was like, I'm gonna use this for something. I was like, oh, my painting name, this is it. The world shut down. I started my Ugly Fernandez page. I started drawing and painting every single day. I started whatever, even if it was a doodle, whatever. And then I started, so the story is I started painting. I'm making music in my crib. I'm still doing that. That's still part of the timeline. I'm making these drawings, these little characters. I turned those into this company that I would not name because they endorsed Trump. This company, at the time, I did not know this. They have these stickers, and they had a deal. It's like one sticker you get 10 stickers for $1. You know how many emails I made? I made so many emails. Send out someone was like, yo, this is my design. Print it out, send it to my email. Send it to my address. I flipped my drawings into stickers. Mind you, I'm getting 10 stickers for $1. I'm selling each sticker for $5. I flipped that into an embroidery machine. My embroidery machine started my clothing line. So now I'm making clothes, Ugly Family clothing, and I'm making these paintings. People start hitting me up like, yo, how much for a painting? I was like, oh, this is the time. Now I show up. Yeah. People asking me, I was like, I don't know, $400? And they're like, cool. I was like, really? Sick. Let's go. So then I have to learn how to package clothes, and I have to learn how to embroider clothes. I need to learn what an elevator pitch is. I'm running mad businesses at the same time during the pandemic because I'm like, I know nobody's saving money, and I know they're spending it on dumb shit. At least spend it on me.
Right.
Like on something that I'm building, right? So I flipped that. And then the clothing line was going crazy. Meta World Peace, the basketball player, was rocking it. I was sending it out everywhere.
What type of clothes did you design?
So I was making just T-shirts, and then here it would say Ugly. I was trying to find a shirt, but I couldn't find the shirt because I would just give out so much stuff. Like even the duffel bag I have in the other room, like that's the last one I have because I give out everything. I barely have any of my merch. I don't like calling it merch, of my clothing line. So I'm doing all these things at the same time. And
you're still in LA at this point.
And I'm still in LA.
Okay.
And I'm doing behavioral therapy at the same time. So I'm doing virtual now with my kids. So I'm just waking up. Now I have to wake up earlier. I have to write handwritten notes to 150 people a week, set up all of this stuff. So that's the timeline. And then we move to, then the Lakers are in the bubble. I don't even watch sports like that. But the Lakers are in the bubble, just to paint the picture. They won the championship. And then we got a call from our landlord. And he's like, yo, you're going to need a roommate or like figure out how to pay the other half of the rent. Our landlord, we had the dopest landlord in America. He's like, yo, your roommate moved out a month before the world shut down. Just pay your half of the rent. Don't worry about her side of the rent. We were like, it's over. Her bedroom turned it into a workout station, painting room, everything we needed in there. So then the pandemic hit, and Isabel, at the time, Chef Isabel, to be exact, Chef Isabel was like, when I first met her, she wanted to move to New York, and I just moved to LA. And then she stayed there because our relationship got serious. And she's like, why don't we just move to New York? And I was like, nah, like Disney Publishing just put out this album. Like, maybe a minute later, like it hit me. I was like, you know what? This girl stayed here extra years where she could have moved to London. She could have moved to New York for me. Now it's my time to show up. So like a minute or two later, I was like, fuck it, we ball. Let's get out of here. So we moved to San Diego for a month, and then we moved to New York. And that's where we started a whole restaurant extravaganza.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something that I couldn't help but notice is, you may have not formally gone to school. However, you learned a lot of what others pay to learn on the fly. And you are self-taught, I would say, based on your
100%.
experience.
100%.
Like the marketing, the strategy, all of that is things that people go to business school for, and you can go to school, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to know how to apply it. No. So how would you talk about that, especially, of learning on the fly, believing in yourself against all obstacles, and maybe not having a blueprint, but following your intuition and the power that there is in that?
A lot of delusion. A lot of delusion. And again, like my dad being like, yo, what's the worst thing that could happen? No, these things play in my mind every day. Like every day. I've always been confident. Always been confident. And I really could teach this shit. Like I'm working on a book called I Can Teach This Shit. And I have a Substack, and I'm putting out this type of information because people ask me all the time, yo, how do you build this? How do you build that? What school did you go to? I was like, one, I can't afford school. Two, like, I've just grew up in a very resourceful family. Like the art of the pivot. Alexis was talking about it here with you. And I commented on it. I was like, yo, literally growing up in poverty, you have to pivot. Like, what are you going to do when there's no light? Oh, okay, we'll wait till the sun comes up. Nah, we're going to go get some candles. We're going to figure this out. Oh, there's no cold water. We're going to boil some water. Like, that's how I learned how to do it. If I want to do something, I'm going to figure out how to do it. And chances are I know somebody who's already doing it. So I don't mind. When I did go to school, I did great because I love studying and learning. So that resiliency comes from a lot of delusion. Like, I don't know how it looks to not do what I love. Like, I don't know what that looks like. That's why I kept dropping out. I was like, I don't love this. I'm out of here. So the determination, the grit that takes behind that is a lot of delusion, a lot of stubbornness too. Like a lot. I'm like, nah, there's no way. Oh, but you have to do this and you got to figure out how to do that. I'll figure it out. Like, I'm going to figure it out. Like painting, people are like, you should go to art school. I was like, why? People are paying me bread because that 400 turned to 4,000 really quickly for a painting. And then people were paying me for paintings that didn't exist. People were like, I just want an ugly Fernandez painting. I was like, oh, I'll make it for you. So I will hop on calls and be intentional with people, get to know them, because I don't want my art just going to nobody. Kind of like a interview type of process.
Yeah, or like a consultation.
And people were sending me money before I even touched the canvas. But that's good branding. That's people understanding and figuring out, yo, this guy knows what the fuck he's doing. That's how I carry myself. I carry myself with respect. I carry myself with this authority that I'm going to get it done. And that's why people call me when they're in a pinch. Like, I really just have no concept of failure. And what the failure even look like is just understanding something and then pivoting and making it work. Like, I don't dwell on that.
I think it also has to do with your credibility and the reputation that you've built for yourself through your work. Yeah, I do think we have to give credit to that because there was a point where maybe nobody knew about the art that you put out or nobody knew about the music, but with time, the work has spoken for itself.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's talk about inspiration. You've mentioned inspiration in the world of music and how you take a direct I don't know, how your life has inspired, right? Wherever you're at, your mindset. Where else do you draw your inspiration from, especially when you're going into a venture that you may not have experience in, or you might not have a prior reference for?
My community, honestly. Like, I didn't know how to cook, but Isabel did, so I'm learning from her, right? I didn't know how to make music, but my boy Nikolai Vocals has been rapping since he was in 2nd grade, so he taught me how to do that, right? Painting, my boy Marco Correa, I saw him drawing since I met him in 7th grade. He actually told me I was really bad at it. So, what's up, Marco? So, it's just, my community is so important around me. You know what I mean? I can't write a love song without being in love. You know, I can't write a song about heartbreak without being heartbroken and devastated, you know? So, and like leaning into the sadness and leaning into the happy moments, that's where a lot of beauty comes from. Listening to Miles Davis really changed my life.
Yeah.
Like, for real. Like, Blue and Green, that song Blue and the Green, that song, if I'm overstimulated, that's the song I listen to. I have ADHD, so my mind goes everywhere. I mean, I'm trying to stay on track, but inspiration comes from just my surrounding, my community, the people I love, like my family, my friends, and strangers. Meeting a stranger and picking their brain, talking to my boy Mike. Like, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I had an idea about, I really wanted to do like a really dope high-res kind of mini doc. I have a conversation with Mike. I got here early, had the conversation with Mike. And I've been manifesting this for like 3 days straight. Boom, ran into Mike. So, like, my inspiration comes from my surroundings, my community, and real life experiences.
I love how you worded that, because even though you're very clearly confident, I think there's a fine line between confidence and arrogance. And one of the differentiators between one versus the other is admitting that you don't know it all, and you can lean on those who you know and maybe those who you don't, to seek that wisdom, to knowledge share, to kind of build upon each other. And that is the core of community, in my opinion, of like, hoy por mí, mañana por ti, you know, like whatever I can help with and vice versa. We picked off at you moving to New York with your former partner and launching a restaurant. Talk about how that came into fruition.
So when we got to New York,
this was now 2020?
This is 2020, December 2020.
Okay.
We looked at like, I don't know, let's say 15 apartments in like 3 days. Isabel exhausted all her points for the hotel. Like, she went crazy. I sold a bunch of paintings before coming here. I'm like, sick. We're killing it. I wanted to live in Brooklyn. She wanted to live in Manhattan. We looked at 2 apartments in Brooklyn. I was like, whatever makes you happy. Let's go to Manhattan. Let's figure it out. We landed on Forsyth. And there was a bodega around the corner. There is a bodega around the corner called Chinese Hispanic Market. We're like, that's the sign, because she's Chinese and Thai. And we're like, that's the sign. This is it. And that's how we landed in New York. And she was homesick, so she started making scallion pancakes from scratch. I bought her a mixing machine thingy. I forgot the name of it.
A food processor.
A food processor. Yeah. When she for a congratulation thing that she did. I don't want to like put it all out there, but she did something amazing, and I got her this thing, and she started actually using it. And she started making scallion pancakes. I just moved from LA. There's no Dominican food in LA. There's no Dominican food, and the one Dominican food I had was terrible. It just wasn't good. The people back there weren't even Dominican making it. I was like, all right, whatever. So when I touched down to Don Juan's Deli, and I saw all the Dominican food, I was eating pernil every day, 7 days a week, plátanos, everything, every day. Pollo guisado, mangú, tres golpe, everything, you name it. I was just going crazy, and I was like, Isabel, you never had pernil. Let me put you onto the pernil. She tasted it, she's like, holy fuck, this is crazy. And that's where kind of our concept came about. And she's like, I want to lower out the fire escape. Because I was like, yo, why don't we just make this? Because me, mentally, I want to turn every idea into a business. Everything. It's like, Isabel, we could just take this scallion pancake, put some pernil, put some queso frito in there, you add some chili crisp oil. We take literally our relationship and put it in this burrito. And then we could just fucking sell it. And she's like, and then we could like lower it out the fire escape. I was like, yeah. She's like, oh, I don't know. I need to like figure it out and figure that. I was like, no, we'll learn on the way. Like, we'll learn on the way. We'll figure it out. Like, and we did figure it out, and it went viral, and we were lowering food out of the fire escape, and we went fucking stupid. We went hard.
So the name was Forsyth Fire Escape.
Forsyth Fire Escape.
Okay. How long did you all do that for?
I did it with her from like 2021 to like 2024, maybe.
My gosh. Okay. And
we broke up during that.
okay, talk about that.
Yeah, and we broke up during that. So shout outs to me and Isabel really grinding it out as long as we possibly could. Because we were too big to just be like, oh, whatever, you go your way, I go. Like, we are investing our entire lives into this shit. Me and Isabel broken up, like, going to Chicago together, going to LA for a commercial together. Like, we are partners. You know what I mean? Like, we are partners. And it was challenging, but Isabel, that's my dog. So, like, we figured out to the best of our abilities until I was like, I need to take a step back and start Feitos. But it was a beautiful journey, and it was very challenging. And Isabel, you know what it's like? I be telling people they think it's funny, because it is funny. You know what it's like to you break up with your girlfriend and then she becomes your chef? Like, y'all don't understand that power dynamic. Yeah. Like, it's like, yes, chef. Like, yes. Like, but I have so much respect for chefs. So it was always like a respect thing with undertones of us dating. Yeah. Got a little challenging, and I have no problem talking. Again, vulnerability, I don't care. Like, I have my love and respect for Isabel. So that was really challenging. But it's a movie. It was a movie. It's like, you break up with your girl and she becomes your boss. Like, that's crazy, but it's fire, though.
How did that dynamic change over time? You know, you said from 2021 to 2024. How much of that were you all having to work side by side while simultaneously dealing with heartbreak?
It wasn't too much heartbreak, honestly. The reason why there wasn't too much heartbreak is because we knew it was coming, and we were tired of, you know, when you're in a relationship and you're trying to fix it, you're trying to figure it out, and it just doesn't work. Yeah. It was like that. So by the time it was time, we were both like, oh, okay, well, we still have this ginormous thing that we're doing together, you know? She moved on, I moved on. I had a girlfriend, she had a boyfriend. So the only challenging part is, and I'm sure people can relate to this, is undervaluing the other person's effort. Because I'm going crazy hard with the marketing, the strategy, the business development, trying to get us collabs and all this stuff, and I see her on the laptop, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, and then she's like, what are you doing? So we're continuously undermining our efforts. So then when I'm not there anymore, she's like, yeah, you made this shit look kind of easy. And then when I launch Feitos and we're looking at numbers and logistics and converting pounds into ounces, I'm like, yo, this would be dope if Isabel was here, not gonna lie to you. You know what I mean? And like, at this point, we're not even talking. So, but I have, again, like, I know I have so much gratitude, and like, I am here because of Isabel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Isabel's there because of me. Yeah. And I will always have gratitude, love, and respect for Isabel, for sure.
Did it ever transform from a fire escape to a physical restaurant? Or was it a food truck? Was it
Nah, we did pop-ups everywhere, and there's a location at Ali Market. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So 2024 comes around. You take a step back. Where does Feitos come into play? So
Feitos, then I was like, all right, bet. Now I get to do whatever I want to do whenever I want to do it. So now I'm back locked into my state of mind, right? So I'm like, I'm going to obviously do a pop-up at Don Juan's Deli. And I'm going to make a fried chicken sandwich because that's the easiest first launch with an ensalada rusa. Because then my girlfriend at the time, you're going to keep hearing this? My girlfriend at the time. She, shout out to Manira, I'll even give out the name. Shout out to Manira. She helped me with the ensalada rusa recipe. Like, she really helped me out with that. And she helped me with logistics. She helped me with that stuff. Because again, community is everything. But I need to learn how to separate my businesses and my girlfriends. I'm really working. I'm not dating any more chefs. So Manir was a huge help. My boy Rishi from Hot Play, I got it tatted right here. I got a bunch of my homies' companies tatted here. He flew out from California, and he got me tote bags. I did my own merch. And the community pulled up. My influencers pulled up. Infatuation did a write-up. Time Out Magazine did a write-up. You know what I mean? Like, I'm putting Don Juan's back on. Like, that's the headquarters. Like, so they were just happy to see me there. So Feitos, after that, I was like, all right, what I'm not going to do is create one menu item that goes viral over and over and over again, and then I'm stagnant. I'm an artist. I need to keep staying creative or else I'm going to lose my mind. So every pop-up that I do, it changes. I did a pop-up with my boy from Chat Dog. I did a Pakistani Dominican hot dog. I did Regina's Groceries, Italian Dominican breakfast sandwich. Tamarind Island, we did I forgot what we did. but it's like Dominican Trini food. I did a sit down dinner, Dominican Guyanese food. I go crazy. Like I really, again, community. These are my people. These are my resources. These are the people I want to work with. I've done solo collabs as well, but that's where it's going. That's how it started.
Yeah. So speaking to a point you just made of you need to continue doing something different, right?
Yeah.
Some would say that's reinvention. Others would say it's just evolution because you're building upon what you already know and looping your community in. Where does everything else stand? So right now you're focused on food, but what about your clothing line? What about your painting? What about your music making? Would you consider all of these paths separate, or would you just say they're just a core part of what you do and they interweave one into the other?
They interweave for sure. Like when I do my pop-ups at Don Juan's, I draw on every single bag. It's a different design for every single one of them. If I have a sticker, I'll sell the stickers there too. My music, I just do that when I can, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I love making music, but it's very challenging. It's not even challenging. I just don't want it as bad. I tell people that all the time. But everything kind of exists in the same space because I'm working on talking to some galleries in St. Thomas, in New York, and in LA to do an art show. And if I go to any of these places, I'll just do a pop-up there too. Yeah. Like it's so hard for me to like chill and relax and take vacations. I don't even take vacations. I wish I could. But they all exist in the same space and they all coexist. So it's like Ugly Fernandez is doing the bag, is making the merch and making the food. Luis Miguel is Luis Fernandez's son. You know what I mean? And then like Feitos is the food. And that's what I'm trying to stay as consistent as I can. Because one thing I learned is consistency is key, is money. And repetition is the only way to master anything. And that's really what I'm on right now. Full focused on Feitos being the forefront of what I'm doing.
Where does your love for working with children come into play? Have you set behavioral therapy aside? Do you still find ways to incorporate children in the work that you do? Or do you plan on doing something just for kids and that aspect of the community?
That's a great question. I've spoken at high schools before. That's been really cool. And I did an art installation with my boy Chad back in 2022, I believe. And high school took a field trip there. Like that's like as much as I can do right now, because when you're doing behavioral therapy, consistency again is everything. You can't be there for 3 weeks and then leave on tour.
There's investment on both sides.
Investment on both sides, and I just can't commit to kids like that. But I am always consistently trying to figure out ways to partner with people and give back to the community. So like this isn't for kids, but I just did something with Think Chinatown, Aquabest, and Gather. Aquabest gave me the oysters. I did an oyster party. They donated 300 oysters, and I sold 300 oysters, and I donated the funds from the 300 oysters to Think Chinatown because I came up sourcing pernil, the pork, from Chinatown. I came up in the Lower East Side Chinatown area. So if I can, I will always give back. I don't really care about the bread. The bread is cool, of course. But like, it's about giving back, showing up, and repeating. Like, that's really what I care about. And people having a good time, creating community, and creating the ambiance and just the culture of things. I mean, that's how I am.
Absolutely. How would you say your chef skills have developed, going from someone who, in your words, didn't know your way around the kitchen, you weren't really a chef at some point in your life, to now making it such a focal point through your art as well?
Honestly, it's an everyday process, right? Because, like, if I need help, I'll call my dad. Be like, yo, Pa, what's your pincho recipe again? Like, how do you do this? And then I put my little twist on it. And then, again, it really depends on, like, who I'm around. Like, if one of my girlfriends wants some food or something, I'm like, all right, now I need to learn how to do this. You know what I mean? Now I need to learn how to do this. Like, so for me, it's chefing, like cooking. I love that I have a team. Like, so I do a lot of pop-ups with Chef Sage and Chef Dizzy, and they're exponentially better chefs than I am. Where I thrive is curating menus and ideas. You know what I mean? Like, I can cook. I need to stop saying, like, oh, I'm not a chef. I don't know. I'm good. But being able to take a step back and really lean into the curation of the event, the experience, the menu, what's going to work, what's the target audience, the stuff people go to college for, collecting the data, understanding how to get return customers, because that's art too. Like that's how it's transpired, because I'm now inspired by working with some dude who's Pakistani, working with some dude who is Italian, working with a guy who's Trini Guyanese. Like that's, for me, I love cutting corners. People are like, don't cut corners. I love cutting corners, because at the end of the day, now I'm learning a little bit of Italian, a little Pakistani, a little Korean, a little Filipino here and there. So like that influence has definitely drastically taught me how to expedite my skills.
Yeah. I think there's a common thread between everything that you've shared, and it's love. Whether it's romantic love or your love for paying it forward, your love for serving, your love for expressing your creativity and, you know, expanding that as well. How would you say you decide what to dedicate your care and your time to? Because you mentioned something earlier of like, you may not, I don't know, be cooking all the time, but it's one of your ways to show people that they are appreciated, and your way of applying your care for them or the community into, you know, something that they can enjoy. So how would you say that's continuing to be at the forefront of what you do?
I think it has to do with the love language, because like I'm an acts of service guy. Like I'm an acts of service guy. It's always like, it's whatever you want. It's whatever you want. It's whatever you want. I'm always like that. That's kind of how I was raised. Like I was just raised like a la orden. Like I was raised like that. So like I know what I love and don't want to do. So at the end of the day, it's just me being able to provide just like comfort to someone with food, or just getting on a conversation with people and talking to them when they're having a bad day. Like I think that's it. I think it comes from my love language of just doing that, just being like that. I think it's just ingrained in me. And love languages shift all the time depending on your community, your relationships. I used to think that my love languages were the same all the time, but they adapt and they change sometimes. So I think acts of service is the reason why I love what I do, giving music. Even if one person relates to it, I love that. If somebody sees a painting and they're just like, this reminds me of my mom, I've heard that once before. I was like, damn, that's the hardest shit I've ever heard. That's so dope. I was like, oh, I love this food. I came here with, you know how many first dates I've seen at one of my pop-ups? Like that shit's beautiful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just like with making clothes, like I feel ugly today. People like empowering themselves and feeling more like me, like how I wake up and how I feel every day. Not to say that I never get depressed and I never get sad. I do all the time. But just being able to give back to somebody or something, or just consistently try to help people be a little bit more delusional and to believe in themselves every day. I think that's why I love what I do.
Yeah.
Like you might not be the best singer in the world, but just drop that song. Who cares? Like you might have not gone to Emerson College in Boston or Berkeley, but if you like to draw, just draw. You never know where it's gonna go. And that's what a lot of my Substack kind of talks about, like what you do in these spaces.
Yeah.
When you're just like not believing in yourself, or how to even believe in yourself, and how to understand how you can flip stuff, the art of the pivot, the art of what understanding it looks like when you're in the room too. Like you need to be prepared for that. So I think that's it. I think that's it.
To build upon what you just said, because I love the central idea of what you just shared, is for those who might not know you personally, for those who come into contact with any form of your work, whether it's your music, whether it's your clothes, whether it's your food, what is that main feeling that you want them to walk away from?
So love yourself all the time. It's like love yourself and do what you want to do all the time. Because at the end of the day, the worst thing you can hear is no. And the best thing you do for yourself is express yourself. That's really it.
Okay. As you think about the future, forward looking, so 2 things. Number 1, any inside scoop or exclusive you can share for people to look forward to. And also number 2, is there a dream that you maybe haven't spoken out loud that you're actively working towards? Whether it's a dream collaboration, whether it's music, art, food, or another aspect that you haven't explored quite yet.
Okay. As far as pop-ups, I have on August 8th, I have a really dope menu that I'm doing at Marcus Samuelson's restaurant called Metropolis. And that menu is especially important to me because I'm really trying to elevate Dominican cuisine. Because it's just like Latino cuisine, Hispanic cuisine, like you could go to this is where I'm just like, okay, don't go on a rant. You go to an Italian restaurant, a French restaurant, and you spend $500, but then you get a plate of Dominican food for $27 and you throw a fit. Oh no, this is too expensive, it's too expensive. I'm really trying to elevate Dominican cuisine. I'm doing like a yuca with caviar, like, but the way I'm doing it, the way the menu is set up, like it shows different facets of my life and things that I learned. I'm doing a pernil dumpling too. I don't want to give the whole menu out. But like
that all sounds delicious, by the way.
Thank you. I'm trying to really, and I'm doing a crudo. So,
yum.
And I'm doing a dessert. So it's just like, I'm really trying to elevate Dominican cuisine. And I've talked to Marcus a couple times. That's my dog. And he always motivates me to just like keep pushing and be creative and stay fly and be jiggy with it all the time. And it's far for a dream collab. And I have like, and I'm working on like a lot of chimi stuff. I want to keep doing that. Like, I just did a chimi pizza with Andrew at Honey Pie Pizza, and that's gonna be incredible. But dream collab, I don't know. I just want to work with my friends. Like, I really just want to keep working with my friends.
That's what a lot of creatives say. Actually.
Like, I want to keep working with my friends. Yeah, me and Marcus Samuelson sit down and make some food that we tight. But like, I don't know. Like,
do you envision a world in which in one event there is your music playing, your food being served alongside your friends, obviously, your clothes either on display or having people be wearing it, like all of your work and passions in some way, shape, or form under the same roof?
For sure, I'm gonna have a festival. I'm gonna have a food festival coming up. Like
I love that.
I've been trying to talk to my homies over at Anheuser-Busch about doing it forever. Like, I was like, yo, let's just do an Anheuser-Busch Feitos festival. We've shut the block down. Like, let's just do it. So I'm definitely going to do a food festival, and I definitely want my music, my art, my painting, everything to be incorporated with, like, honestly, like, that's really what... You know what my dream collab was? Well, my dad. I did a pop-up in Massachusetts with my dad, like, 2 months ago, and that shit made me literally cry. Like, that was my dream collab. Like, if I was, like, I saw my dad, like, my dad is very encouraging, but he's also a Dominican man. He's like, oh, but tú sabes, tú tienes que un trabajo que está stable, blah, blah, blah. But, like, when I have my dad in the kitchen with me, helping me, my stepmom, like, I really dead cried. Because I was like, that was the dopest moment of my life. I've done so much dope shit, the Apollo shit, doing commercial for Lay's, like, sold out in seconds for the entire month, lines over 1,000 people, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people getting booked out, doing dope features with people. The dopest shit I've ever done, my dream collab, was my dad, and I did that. So, like, for real, that was the moment I was like, I made it, because my dad, obviously, the external validation, my dad looked at me like, oh, you do know what you're doing. I was like, I've been trying to tell you this for mad long. But like, him seeing my work ethic in the kitchen and being like, I was like, Opa, you need to do this. Opa, I need this by this time. He's like, oh, I only see it on Instagram. Like, and he was like, no, I'm really proud of you, for real. I was like, I've been needing this since I was 5.
Sometimes that's all we, like, it's that simple, seemingly simple, right? But there's so many complexities behind that. Okay, last question for you, because I want us to leave on like a reflective note. If you were to wake up tomorrow and everything would be gone, everything that you've worked for, how would you apply your creativity towards building something completely different?
Because I'm already writing a book. Honestly, how would I build something new? What would I even build? I build everything. Honestly, the way that I'll probably do it, I'll probably start a nonprofit organization that helps kids eat and like I would dedicate my entire life's work to be able to create a grocery store where anybody can eat for free. That's what I would dedicate my entire life to. I'll figure it out. I'll hit up Mom Donnie or something. Like, I'll figure it out. I'll get sponsorships. I'll dedicate my entire life to that. But I know that none of this is going to fall through the cracks unless I literally die. But I'll probably dedicate my entire life to be able to give access to people to clean water, showers, and food.
Yeah. This is the reason I asked that question, because you've spoken about resourcefulness, and your career in your life is an example of what could come when you don't take no for an answer, when you know how to pivot and you make the most of your current resources or access or whatever the case may be. So I have no doubt that if this very hypothetical worst case scenario were to come, you would figure out a way.
I will.
Especially because all of the different variations of your work have that thing in common, which is you're doing things with the best intention to pay it forward and to, as cliche as it's going to sound, make the world a better place, you know?
I try.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you, Cata.
I think it's beautiful. I'm excited to keep seeing what you do and to support it, of course. And for those who were not previously familiar with your story, to now continue to support it as well. So,
thank you.
Gracias por tu tiempo, de verdad.
Thank you for having me.
Todo el éxito, te lo deseo, on top of what you have already achieved. And thank you all for listening and watching. Until next time.